Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morgan from Motor City Madmouth. Great show lined up tonight, but what's even greater is a crew that I happen to have. Rick Curdy, Mr. Opinion. Welcome back, Rick. You're first of three for you this week, my friend. You ready for hat trick broadcast?
Absolutely. I'm Mario Lemieux. I'm ready.
A boy, that's what I want to hear. Mr. Icorn, well, we're keeping you busy as well.
Yeah, good to be here again, guys, and looking forward to baseball talk.
Yeah, we got some good topics lined up. And last but not least, Mr. Jordan Long, based out of Colorado. Welcome back, Jordan.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy you guys. You're my core. So, all right, let me give everybody an overview of what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to be talking about the top 10 winning percentages in WBC history. I have a great parting shot as well as career stats with active players. Don't want to miss that one, as well as what you have going on. With that said, we're going to talk about the World Baseball Classic. Starts this week. I know it's a pretty interesting tournament, and you see it every couple of years. So the only real major point we're going to talk about is I'm going to just divulge the top 10 winning percentage in WBC history. And I'm going to start off with number one, the Dominican Republic, 750. They're 18-6. Japan, 733, 22-8. Puerto Rico, 690, 20-9. South Korea, they have a lot of good players there too. 682, 15-7. Here's a real interesting one, and I know Brad Ausmus actually piloted this team. Was Israel, 667, but they're 4-2. They're new to the WBC. Cuba, 577, 15-11. Great baseball history there. The United States of America. All right. Triple fives are what we're looking at for winning percentage, 555. And they're 15 and 12. Excuse me. We have a 500 team, Venezuela, at 12-12, and then there's only two teams that are below 500. The Netherlands at 458, 11-13, and Mexico 389, 7-11. No, I don't mean the convenience store. I'm talking about the record. So there you go. Now you have it. So I'm going to ask you, Rick Curdy, which one stands out? Any surprises? Any disappointments?
I'm surprised that Venezuela is as low as it is. They have some great players there. I thought they'd be like in the top five. The other ones, I mean, Japan's a powerhouse. We all know about the Dominican Republic, of course, Puerto Rico. They got great players coming there. But I'm surprised by Venezuela because a lot of Latinos, a lot of Latin American places are fantastic at baseball. A lot of great Venezuelan players. Like Miguel Cabrera. I'm kind of surprised that I thought they'd be higher.
Okay, what about you, George?
Yeah, I agree with Rick. That really surprises me, Venezuela, and I know they're one of the top favorites. I saw the some of the predictors in the USA Today, and a lot of them have Venezuela being in the top 3 or 4. United States won it. What was it? Almost 6 years ago. We haven't had a World Baseball Classic for nearly 6 seasons. COVID knocked it out of the rotation. Remember when we were supposed to have it? So it's been quite a while since we had it. And I think that there's a lot of major league players. What they say, almost 200 players on the 40-man rosters, and more than 300 players under contract with big league teams. I think, Venezuela surprises me. Like Rick said, United States not so good. 5.55 percentage, even though they did win the last one. Always a struggle because, like Rick alluded to, the dominance of the Latin American players. Cuba and Puerto Rico and Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Mexico. I guess would be my other surprise, Scott, that they're pretty bad. their lifetime record in the WBC, but I'm looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun.
What about you, Jordan?
I do like the World Baseball Classic. It gives these players a chance to actually represent their country. I'm not surprised that the Dominican Republic is number one. What surprised me is the United States. We usually, baseball is our pastime. To see us with a .555 winning percentage doesn't make sense just because we're supposed to own this baseball, the WBC. The thing about it, though, is you look at the teams that we put together. I think this year we might have the strongest teams in terms of hitting. Pitching wise is where I am a little concerned with the team, but still 0.555. I thought it'd be higher, but then again, we are the defending champ, so we'll see what happens. But you never know in this tournament. I also agree with them, Venezuela being as low as they are because of the Latino presence. You would think they would be better.
Yeah, the one that really strikes me is I can't believe that Mexico is 389 at 7-11. That one, just a little bit.
Dang.
Yeah, I think I'm glad that Puerto Rico 690. If you've ever been to Puerto Rico and how they built the Roberto Clemente thing up, that's really good. I believe, I think I went by his stadium many years ago when I was on my honeymoon with my first wife. But don't underestimate how good Puerto Rico is. I mean, Dominican Republic, Japan, their powerhouses. South Korea, we know is good. And yeah, in the United States, I couldn't believe they were at 555 for sure. So, you guys all make valid points. You really, really do. And I just think it's just so wide. I'm just surprised the United States is a little bit lower. But Mexico, to me, really, isn't that where they play winter ball? Jordan, I think a lot of winter ball is played there.
It is, and so as well as Arizona, but yeah, definitely in Mexico they have a great winter baseball there, because where else are you going to play? It's too cold here to play baseball, so you got to go somewhere warm. That's either Phoenix or in Mexico.
Well, you're not playing it in South Florida. I mean, and I don't think they're doing as much in Arizona and Florida because you have spring training. So
that's true too.
With the exception of the fact that these venues like in Miami and I believe in Arizona are holding the tournament. That's another animal altogether. So the WCBC is being held in those venues, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you one thing though: don't underestimate South Korea. In fact, there's a guy by the name of Adam Plutko, who is actually a former major leaguer that's playing a couple of years out there. And you know what? He's just trying to get back into the big leagues. And a lot of guys have played in South Korea, especially during the pandemic, because they wanted to keep it going. So don't underestimate the South Koreans in terms of it's a KBO, the Korean Baseball Organization, right?
Yeah.
Because they filled the void during COVID-19, that's for sure. But hey, Henry, well, thank you very much. You know what? I'm going to go ahead. And here's a prediction out here. Thanks. Good to hear from somebody brand new, Henry. Yeah, that Cuba will win. Well, you know what?
Well,
I don't know. Hey, listen, this is an open platform, and thank you very much, Henry, for chiming in on us. I really do. It's always good to get.
I remember when the Netherlands beat the Dominican Republic. Remember that big colossal upset?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't even know the Netherlands had a baseball team. I was like, they do? And they beat who?
Right.
Yeah.
So anything can happen.
One of the Detroit Tigers prospects, and I apologize, I can't remember his name. He's playing for the Netherlands team. I believe they're on television tonight, the Netherlands late game, which is another good point. They are getting good coverage. Okay, ESPN, Fox, FS1. Good coverage. A lot of games will be televised, and it is a good competition. The only other one I like, obviously, would be the Olympics when we have baseball. But again, they have been playing around with not having baseball and having it and
Right.
pulling it off, putting it back on. Depends on which country is hosted. That's a bunch of BS. It should be on all the time in the Olympic cycle, the Summer Olympics. But this now attracts more of the national players than any other one, especially the Olympics. And don't forget, guys, there's games played all around the world. Chinese Taipei and Japan. They're not all playing in the United States. I think people forget that they do truly treat this. Now, the U.S., of course, always hosts the semifinals and the finals. Like you said, Scott, down in Florida. And
Right.
I believe some of them have been in Southern California or Arizona. So, yeah, here's another comment from Henry.
Yeah.
Cuba was the best in the big leagues, but it is the team with the most world championships in amateur and Olympic games.
Well, I mean, first of all, let's not lose sight of the fact that wasn't Louis Tiant played from Cuba.
Yes.
He's a legendary guy. And before I go any further, I should let everybody know that 108 Stitches Baseball Talk can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. So, we ask that you please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube. South Florida Tribune, we're striving for 1,000 subscribers. So no cost to subscribe whatsoever. You get all the notifications that we can. Also, if you want to be a guest, send topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com, and we'll be more than happy to put you on. So, Henry, just food for thought. If you want to come on as a guest, feel free to let us know. We'd love to have you on and talk baseball with us. If you want to advertise, call 954-304-4941. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. So, Henry, there's an open invitation out there to come on our show anytime you like. Just contact us. We'll be more than happy to do. We ask people, our future guests, please subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Plus, you'll be able to have access to your broadcast as well. So, Henry, we appreciate your contributions. I'm looking forward to hearing from you more in the show. God bless you. You've been a great contributor so far. So here's the thing, okay? When I look at the World Baseball Classic and the Olympics in 1984 in Los Angeles, my only trip to Dodger Stadium, they had the United States taking on the Koreans. It's a demonstration sport, and that was my only trip to Dodger Stadium. So I wish once and for all that the Olympics would have baseball once and for all. I think you should. You should rotate it in alternate years, or always talk about international games overseas. How much more international can you get than you had the Olympics and the World Baseball Classic? I think the two would run hand in hand. So I'm going to ask you, Jordan, what do you think? I mean, George Eichhorn brought up a great point. Okay, so Jordan, I mean, Olympics and WBC. And by the way, Henry, you're welcome. We are really proud to have you on. You're bringing up some great stuff here. Keep it up. We'll make sure everything you post on here, my friend, we're going to talk about it. So go ahead, Jordan.
I think it makes sense to do, a 2-year rotation like that. 2 years of, the Olympics, and then next 2 years do the WBC. That's what they do for like the World Cup. It's I think it's like every 3 years after, especially the men, after the summer games. But either way, I want these guys to represent their country. And what better way to do it is either in the Olympics or the WBC. So why not have both? And the problem is like you guys were saying, is the Olympics has baseball. Sometimes it doesn't. I believe it's coming back when for the summer games in Los Angeles. But still, you need more than just the Olympics to represent a country. And I'm fine if we did, like I said, the rotation of the WBC and then the Olympics, because it just makes sense for them to represent their countries.
Yeah, I mean, really, we're talking about expanding the game in Europe. Obviously, Canada has a decent presence. You have one team. They should have another in Montreal, but that'll be for another conversation. But Toronto's won 2 world championships, and Toronto's one of the best cities out there. So, I'm glad they have a presence in Toronto, and now, from what I understand, they're going to be putting some work into the Sky Dome, as I'll always call it, just to make the facility even stronger. But yeah, I mean, to me, when we talk about international participation in other sports, you bring up a great point, Jordan, the World Cup. You really, really do. How you can rotate them back and forth. I think baseball should follow suit there. And to me, I think that it would really enhance the growth of it. But let me tell you, when you look at Puerto Rico, what it's done over the years, it's just unreal. It really has. And, and like I said, Roberto Clemente, how many great players have come out of there? Roberto Clemente, I believe Sammy Sosa, forget about the steroid situation because it's not related to what I'm saying now. But you got Roberto, but he did come out of the Dominican Republic. And I think, was it Pudge Rodriguez, George, that came out of Puerto Rico, right? Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I think he did.
Anybody
Yeah.
know?
What a great
Ruben Sierra. When I was younger, he was a great baseball player. He was from Puerto Rico. I mean, so many great Puerto Ricans have come out there. So the United States is struggling, and since Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States, why don't they join the United States? We need all the help we can get.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it that way? You make a good point, Rick. Even in the Miss Universe contest, they have a separate Miss Puerto Rico and then a separate Miss USA.
Yeah, I always thought that was
last I looked, they're part of our country.
Yeah, I was like, why we need Puerto Rico to join the US being the Olympics, and we'll definitely win because we can't win it on our own. And since they're the territory of the United States, come on aboard.
Yeah, and the loss of Clayton Kershaw, let's not forget that. He's not going to participate. He backed out, and I believe he was replaced by Nick Martinez. I'm sorry to see Kershaw go because he's an all-American guy, obviously a great pitcher for the Dodgers. And and good friends with Matthew Stafford, the quarterback. But Kershaw's loss will be felt. But and like you alerted to earlier, Jordan, I believe the starting pitching and pitching in general is going to decide the fate of the USA team as they try to defend their title.
Well, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I think, pulled out recently.
Yes, he did,
Yeah.
Scott. I heard that too.
Yeah, but you know what? You're still going to have enough star power in it. I mean, this is something that everybody goes out there and takes pride in. All right, we got to give Will Logo a little bit of love here. So here's a little one. Nestor Cortez is not pitching for USA either. He has a little bit of an injury. Yeah, well, they're always going to, their intent is to go there, but you can't damage your career over a few weeks. You just can't do it. So, like anything else, whether it's the NBA, they're going to pull out because of injuries. Other opportunities are there. That goes without saying. But I just think that, Israel intrigues me a little bit. Brad Ausmus managed it, gave him a little managerial experience. And I'm pretty curious to see how far Israel will progress their situation. I think we talked about Pudge Rodriguez. So, when we talk about international and you go down to the Caribbean, oh my goodness. I mean, the Caribbean players are just unbelievable. Anybody want to add to that real quick before we go on to our next topic?
But I
No,
like to
I
see.
think that-
No, go ahead.
Oh, Panama! Don't forget Panama.
Right,
We've
Peru.
had some good Panamanians in the Major League Baseball. The Italians, and the Great Britain. There's other countries fielding teams, Australia, but they usually don't get very far in the tournament.
Right, well, that's why I limited it to the top 10 winning percent in WBC history, and these are the ones that, to me, came across as worth talking about for sure. All right, our next and final topic before we go to our parting shots, where in this format, everybody gets a parting shot, then we all comment on it. So here we go. Career stats, according to Sportskeeda by MLB Network, with active players, Miguel Cabrera is leading the way. So here you go, Tigers fans. You've got Miggy is with hits 3,088. He's first. Okay, home runs 507. He's first. RBI 1847. He's first. Runs 1530. He's first. And doubles 607. He's first. Okay, we're going to start off with Mr. Detroiter Eichhorn. Okay.
You got me going, man. You got me going. Well, a few of those categories she's going to add on to, but let's face it, his long range power. He has had one spring training home run and one double so far, among I think 4 hits only, or 5. I'm not sure. But Miggy, he's the greatest. I mean, this is going to be a farewell tour beyond expectation, and he already put it out there for the teams. He doesn't want a lot of gifts. He doesn't want a lot of attention. Well, I got news for you, Miggy. You are going to get a lot of gifts. You are going to get a lot of attention because you deserve it. A great career, unfortunately hampered the last few years by injuries, but it's no surprise, Scott. He's at the top of the leaderboard, and obviously with Pujols retiring, he shot up to the like you said, the active a leader among those many categories that you just read. So it's going to be a fun year. He'll be a designated hitter. He won't DH every day, but it'll be a lot of fun in Detroit seeing him in his farewell year.
One other question for you before I turn it over to Jordan is, Comerica Park is moving their fences in a little bit. How much do you think Miguel Cabrera is going to benefit by that?
I think it should help him. I mean, it should help all the hitters, but especially him, because I know that he gets stuck with a lot of doubles at Comerica Park, especially, years gone by. And I think, Scott, that should help him. Yeah. I mean, he's not going to hit a lot of home runs, though, but even that little bit should manage a few more to be long gone, as our friend Ernie Harwell used to say.
Okay. All right. What do you think, Jordan?
Those numbers that you put out, they do not surprise me, only because he's been in baseball the longest. The thing about Miggy is Detroit's definitely going to miss him. Baseball's going to miss him. I hope that he has a good year where he can stay healthy. Like George alluded to, that he has not been healthy. I know he doesn't want a big farewell tour, but he's going to get it. Baseball stadiums are going to cheer him on just because he is one of the best players to ever play this game. I hope he gets into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame one day, or the Baseball Hall of Fame. The thing about it is, though, I mean, I liked watching Miguel Cabrera. He's definitely going to be missed. And those stats you put up just shows his body of work in Major League Baseball.
You know what? Before I turn over to Rick, Will Vogel does hit on a pretty good comment. So at least yeah, we know he's been in the league since 2003, and at least he does have a World Series ring with the Miami Marlins. So good point, Will. Glad you brought that up. And he's been to a couple as a Tiger, albeit he finished runner-up in those contests. All right, Rick, we'll turn it over to you.
Great player, definitely Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. He did something I never thought would ever happen in my lifetime. He won the Triple Crown. That's what I'm most impressed of. That I never thought anybody would win it because, power hitters, especially today, they'll hit 50 home runs but have a 250 batting average or whatever. He did it all. Hitting, home runs, RBIs, doubles. I mean, he's a complete package. Definitely first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best right-handed hitters to come in our era, him and Pujols. And, what more can we say about him? This is his final, and he'll get a lot of gifts like Kareem. Remember Kareem's final year? He got a lot of gifts and standing ovations. He'll get that too. He's very beloved. You can tell he loves the game. He's always a big kidder when he's on with the other players, always kidding around with them. But he'll be missed. True great ambassador. He's from Venezuela, as we mentioned. Great country. It comes a lot of great players come from Venezuela. So we'll miss some, but man, he's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, we can say what we want about these countries' records, but I'll tell you some of the players they put that have actually made it in the big leagues and made it big. To me, that's impressive. I mean, I know it's, again, we're talking about records, but let's not forget the finality of the whole thing. And that being the fact that there's some superstars from a lot of countries. I mean, if that isn't good enough, Shohei Ohtani, how big does it get in Japan, for gosh sakes? I mean, and Hideki Matsui is another guy that you can easily put in there, one of those steady Yankees on the planet. Mm-hmm. And the list goes on and on. All I'll say about Miguel Cabrera is I know I haven't worked in the Metro Detroit area in over 20 years. And I rarely get out to see him during spring training. First ballot Hall of Famer. See you in Cooperstown in 5 years, Mr. Cabrera, and enjoy your last rodeo. So with that said, we're going to go over to our parting shots. Mr. Curdy, lead off.
Well, Major League Baseball put some rules in, but there's one rule I do like. I love the pitching clock. I've actually been to a minor league baseball game with the Knights. They actually had a pitching clock. And at first it's kind of weird, but after a while you just get used to it. It's really not a big deal. They need to do something with these batters going in and out. I remember Nomar Garciaparra, God love him, but he adjusting to the little quirks he did when he went in there. He took forever to go in there. I remember another baseball player. What's his name? They call him the human rain delay because he took forever to pitch. And I'm so glad they have a pitching clock now. What's so funny is that Max Scherzer was saying, I love this pitching clock. I cannot wait for this pitching clock. And he got busted with a balk on it. So he didn't really have a good day with it, but I love it. It's good to speed up this game. I don't have a problem with it. I've seen games with the pitching clock. You really just, it doesn't even, you won't even think about it when you're seeing it. So, great to see it. I know a lot of players hate it, but you know what? You need to hurry up, get in there, stop taking forever, and just go in there. And they need to do something to speed up the game. I think that will help it with the pitching clocks.
George, what do you have to say about pitch clock?
Nope. Don't like it. Baseball is a game with no time element attached to it, no clock, unlike basketball and football and hockey, where you're worried about how much time is left, last minute of play in the third period. Or how about the NBA? 2 minutes. We used to hear that all the time, Scott, in Detroit.
Yeah.
No, I'm not in favor of it. And you know what? 10 umpires aren't in favor of it either. We lost 10 good men that turned in their resignation. Okay, maybe a couple of them, I'll grant you, had injuries. But losing 10 umpires, don't tell me that wasn't because of these silly rules they're putting in. I know it was. And also the stupidity of a robo umpire behind home plate, which I hope we don't see. But no, Rick, I'm sorry. I go the other way. I'm traditionalist. I don't want time.
Yeah.
I don't want time to be wrecking this.
The robot ones, I totally agree. Stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, Jordan, you've heard one side and one the other, and I'll get my 2 cents, but I want to see this 2 out of 3. Which way you're swinging, Mr. Long?
I actually do like the pitch clock. I mean, I am a traditionalist like George, but I do like the actual pitch clock because, like Rick was saying, there are pitchers who take or who took too much time pitching. It was almost like 30, 40 seconds in between pitches. I've been to a minor league ballpark where they actually had the pitch clock. And like Rick said, you don't pay attention to it. It's just like a normal game once it starts going. I'm fine with it. I know they're trying to speed up a slow game, but even if that's just a little bit, it helps because I don't want to see pitchers, looking off to first or third base and then waiting for a sign. Just pitch the dang ball. That's all I care about. So I'm fine with the pitch clock.
Well, it's time for me to voice my opinion. Number one, I haven't seen a major league game with it. So you know what I'm going to do? And I never do this very often, okay? Until I see it in front of my own two eyes at a stadium, I will go ahead and defer on this topic. I am a traditionalist. I do believe in the purity of the game, George. I kid you not. I obviously don't know the other game any other way. But one thing I'll remember when Don Mattingly was managing the Marlins, he always told me, Scott, you know what? Here's the deal, okay? We may not like the rule changes, okay? But we have no choice but to adapt to them whether we like it or not. And I said, okay, I'll take that. Don and I had a great working relationship. And I won't lie to you, I miss the guy. It's going to be different around this team without Don Mattingly. I know, obviously, both sides have moved on. But Don told me all the time, day in and day out when we talked about it, as well as my other colleagues down in Miami, you know what? You may not like it, but you better get used to it because it isn't going away. Now, I will say this, the robo umps, no. Okay, I'm not. There's a fine line about how many new changes I'm going to have. That might be the most difficult one. The larging of the bases, again, it's one of those kinds of things for me. I have to see it before I can fully comment on it. But the pitch clock, I'm going to just take the fifth on it until my four eyes, okay, can definitely adapt to it. All right, good point, Rick. I really like that one. All right, George.
Well, I know this topic has been talked about long and long and long, but I'm going to bring it up again, and that's my disdain for not having all of the Major League Baseball openers in warm or western or dome cities. There's something about, I know there's something special about the presidential opener or Baltimore or Cincinnati or Detroit getting one early in the season. I understand all that. It's tradition. I get it. And no, you don't want your team to lose 6 in a row on the road or go 1-5 and come home to your opening day. Owners are fearful that they won't have a good crowd. But this is ridiculous with postponements, and the schedule is so compact and tight as it is now that I wish they would at least try it once or a couple years. And again, that would be the dome stadiums, and the warmer climates would open first. Now, Detroit, as it turns out, is the one that's going to benefit this year because the Tigers are opening in Tampa Bay in front of a lot of empty seats, as we'll probably know, at Tampa Bay, Tropicana. But it doesn't always work that way. Detroit being cold weather is what I'm saying. They are opening in Tampa. And last time, a year or two ago, I think they opened in Seattle. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like it's done a little bit, but not to the point of really being a baseball, a decision that it would have to be this way. But I still say they should try it.
All right, Rick, I'm going to go back to you about MLB's home openers, okay, being in warm weather cities.
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, Florida, California, Los Angeles, all those places. And even if it's not, you could, the domes and all that. So, because a lot of them get, like Seattle, rains so much in Seattle, or even maybe Colorado, sometimes they get snow there. So, I agree. I love to see it in a warmer place like a California or Arizona or Dome Stadium. I just think that would be great. And then eventually they could do the other games. But I think the home opener should definitely be in warmer climates and domes. And then when the season gets longer, then you can have it in the outside colder states like Michigan.
Well, leave you, Jordan.
You know what? I agree with Rick and George. I mean, there's a reason why the Rockies do not start at home because of the fact that you have those weathers. They either start in Arizona, Dome Stadium. This year, they're playing in San Diego, good weather. So, yeah, I'm fine with the home openers being in a a warm climate, because at least you can get those games in. When it's not in a warm stadium or a warm place or a dome, you don't know what's going to happen. And I hate to see people get all excited for opening day or even the home openers, because that is such a tradition, and then you get postponed, then the excitement goes away. Yeah, they got to do something different, and I would agree putting them in warmer climates would make the most sense.
All right. Well, the only thing I'll say about it is, number one, the Super Bowl, for the most part, occasionally is in a warm climate, so you don't have to worry about that. But here's where I find it very, very interesting, okay, about the warm climates. Okay, George, you don't know a darn thing about postponements until you've dealt with COVID-19, and they were postponing everything from all over the place. I have never seen so many dysfunctions and things in a game until you've worked COVID-19. I mean, geez, how many games did you have to postpone to accommodate the virus? My goodness. But so if you're a schedule maker and you had to reschedule those games because of COVID-19, that's postponements. But I agree with all you all, okay, that I think they're better off in a warm weather climate to minimize postponements. But George, I'm not buying the postponements when I saw the amount of them that happened during COVID-19. And yes, Candy Ebling, okay. Let's give her our little take here. Smartest thing Milwaukee did, okay, is they did build a retractable roof, no postponements, okay. And Ruby Tuesday, all right, I like this one here. I love the participation. Good stuff, man. All right, the great thing about WBC is you get to see all the top players from not just MLB, NPB, KBO, Cuban League. So yeah, I mean, Ruby Tuesday's right on target. I mean, everybody that we've had that has participated in this chat has been on target. So as far as postponements, George, until you've dealt with COVID-19, I wouldn't worry about postponements. Little bit. and thank you very much, Ruby Tuesday, for coming on as well through our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and then that could be a very open invite here to talk to us here on the broadcast. So, hey, we're looking to bring more people to talk on this platform. The more, the merrier. And I appreciate everybody, what they've done here today. So, all right. So we've addressed two people. Who's next? Is that you, Jordan?
Yep. So I'm going away from Major League Baseball and going into the NFL. Geno Smith, of course, got the big deal, $105 million for 3 years, $52 million for this upcoming season. The thing about it is, this has been his best year ever as a starter in this league. He was 9-8 for the Seahawks this past season, passed for a career high 4,282 yards, 30 touchdowns, and picked off 11 times. Before that, his best season was with the New York Jets in his rookie year in 2013. He passed for 3,046 yards, 12 touchdowns, 21 picks. So the fact of the matter is you're giving this guy that much money for 1 year. I do not understand it. At least the other guys that got paid, Daniel Jones and Derek Carr, are starters in this league and have been a starter longer than Geno Smith. But for 1 year, a great year, you're going to pay him 3 years, $103 million with 52 guaranteed in the next year or this upcoming year. I just don't understand what the Seahawks are doing. I get they need to keep Geno Smith, but to pay him that much does not make sense to me. It's insane money.
Okay, George.
I can't disagree with my friend Jordan. I mean, that's a lot of money to toss at somebody. I mean, you got the security of somebody to fill in, and he did a good job, like you mentioned. But that's a huge contract, and this is exactly what I really don't want the Detroit Lions to do. Jared Goff had a couple of good last year. This past season was a lot better than the season before, but he's another one that's in that area where they're going to have to decide in the next year or so, what are they going to do with Goff? Do they draft a young kid out of college this year, or they wait another year or so? And the Lions could fall into that same trap, Jordan, that you just described. I'm not trying to say it's going to be the exact same amount of money, but those quarterbacks throw up those stats, and they stick on the board. I guess when the agents sit down with the GMs and the powers to be at the Seattle Seahawks management, that was absurd. I agree with you. Way too much money for Geno.
Rick?
I totally agree. It's just like Daniel Jones. I mean, didn't he throw for like 12 touchdowns you know, and
Mhm.
he's been injured and played bad, and he got like 35 million. I mean, it's absurd. And Gino, he's just been a journeyman quarterback. He had a nice year. He got comeback player of the year. You know, everybody was rooting for him because, you know, Russell Wilson left. You know, he was the villain and he left. And Gino came in and saved the day. But he had one great year. And it just shows the desperation that the NFL does when trying to get quarterbacks. Someone has 1 or 2 good years and they just give them like $100 million guaranteed, which is insane. So Golf is probably going to get a ton of money
Mhm.
because he's way better than Daniel Jones and Geno
Yeah.
Smith. So those agents definitely need to be in the Hall of Fame if they could get Daniel Jones and Geno to get all that guaranteed money. I mean, I'm serious. They should have a special place for agents in the Hall of Fame. And I mean, I think what they're doing is incredible because to sell Geno Smith and or Daniel Jones for all that money, and they're like, okay, sure, and give them all that guaranteed money is absolutely amazing. But the Seahawks, I think it's stupid. I think it's dumb. They need to look at another quarterback. Geno's a journeyman quarterback. He's had a great year, but he has not proven to be a consistent, and he's definitely not a franchise quarterback for the Seahawks at all. So I don't understand. It's just desperation.
All right. Well, the only thing I'll say about this whole thing is number one, okay, the Lions have a year to decide on Goff. So that's a good problem. If you can transition from Stafford to Goff, okay, that's a good problem where you go from one franchise guy to another. The Lions are going to draft another developmental guy anyways. I know that's going to happen. Who they draft is another story. Same holds true for the Seahawks. I know Pete Carroll's talking about drafting a developmental guy. And the one thing people have to understand about NFL contracts, they're basically year to year, anyways, is what they are. So
Mhm.
don't believe the ink that you see on the total gross amount. It's what they ultimately end up turning out to be later on. So, you know, if you can go ahead and use Geno Smith under the Pete Carroll system for which he flourished in, okay, and he did flourish in it, then if you buy yourself another year or two to get a franchise guy, then maybe the investment is. As far as the Lions are concerned, please. I mean, you know, actually, I was watching Colin Cowherd today, and that's becoming one of my new favorite shows. Of the NFC quarterbacks that were out there, he rated Jared Goff third. And he did. And I was intrigued when he mentioned, and by the way, he had Matt Stafford number one and Jalen Hurts number two. And I thought, wow, that surprises me. But you know what? One thing about Goff is he doesn't throw interceptions, and he's got a great offensive coordinator and Ben Johnson. So give him his due. So I don't think the Lions have a problem. I think the Seahawks are buying time, and I'll be curious to see how this whole thing plays out. So great stuff all the way around. All right, my parting shot before we call it a night is MLBA PA Tony Clark quoted, "We are never going to agree to a salary cap." All right, you know what? I'll comment on this. Okay, I think ultimately, if the owners try to break the union, they're going to be forced into getting a salary cap at some point. It's hard to be sympathetic toward the owners now, though, because they're spending a lot of money, is what they're doing. So it'll be harder for that to happen. The one thing I'd like to see would be the lower teams having a ceiling floor where they have to spend so much money. That's what I would like to see. But salary cap, I think if MLB is intent to break the union, Tony, and when your players start missing games because their checks aren't there, I don't think I would totally rule it out. And if you want to go to the Agents Hall of Fame, well, I'd like to know who Bobby Bonilla's agent is and some of these other guys, but we'll leave
Lee
that.
Steinberg will be the first one in there.
Who?
Lee Steinberg.
Oh, yeah, and then I'm sure another one is Scott Boris.
Yeah, Boris.
Yeah,
Bonus.
but my point is on salary cap. I think it can be done. We'll just see how ambitious the owners are to spend the money. It takes away. But when players start missing game checks, it gets ugly. It gets ugly. But then again, you can destroy the game. So I would say never. Don't ever say never on the salary cap. But this will be interesting to unfold. All right, Rick, go ahead.
I've been wanting to see a salary cap for the last 15, 20 years. We need one. We need to bring balance to the game. You know, you're not going to bring balance when you have the Dodgers and with the Royals, or you're going to have the Mets, you know, payroll against Tampa Bay's payroll or small market or maybe Milwaukee's payroll. It's like David and Goliath. You know, how are you going to compete with that? All that money is a bigger market. And it's just they need a salary cap. Are they going to get it? Of course not, because they would be losing. Of course, the players don't want to stay because they wouldn't. They were not going to be getting all that money. So they definitely need a salary cap. They have in the NBA. They have in the NFL. They're still making tons of money, but they just need an even playing field, and that's why I agree that they should have a salary cap. Will they get one? No, because the players will say they're going to be losing money, so nobody wants to lose money.
Well, the MLB Players Union is the strongest one of the four major sports. You haven't had it by now, you're probably not going to get it anyways. All right, George.
Yeah, no, I agree with Rick. There should be a cap. I mean, there is too much inequity. Baseball's been fortunate when they see an Oakland or a Tampa Bay, get into it. The Tigers had to spend a ton of money to make 2 World Series, and they lost both of them under Jim Leyland. Couldn't compete even in the finals. All I'm saying is that, yeah, it would be nice to have, but I agree. I don't think the union's ever going to agree to it. And, Tony Clark is very powerful. Marvin Miller, speaking of Hall of Famers, Marvin Miller took him a hell of a long time to get in the Hall of Fame. The pioneer, as we know, player rep, negotiator, all those years. But the players, of course, will never agree to it. It'll be a backbreaker. A strike will ensue, and it'll be really ugly. Like you said, Scott, everybody wants to avoid that situation. But the field is never level. And never level. These big spending teams will always be at the top of the contending list.
Well, all you got to do is look at the NFL, right? I mean, the NFL is the model for everything. You have an even playing field. They have a good TV contract. One thing to be conscious about with MLB, though, is I'll be curious to see how that Bally situation plays out and how future TV deals are going to be written up, because I know that that situation is a developing story, and we'll bring it up at some point down the line. All right, Jordan, go ahead.
I do agree that there needs to be a baseball salary cap. I mean, we want parity. We saw it in the NHL, what that's done. Obviously, in the NFL, the NBA is, they have a salary cap of sorts, but they also have where you can, go over it and pay the league back. The thing is, though, would I like to see a salary cap for baseball for parity? Yes, I would. Will it happen? Probably not. I do like your idea, Scott, to have a floor where, like the Colorado Rockies, the Oakland Athletics have to get to a floor to at least compete. I just don't see baseball ever going that way because they are slow to change.
Well, the Miami Marlins need it, and I don't know. And the Tampa Bay Rays look like geniuses to me because they're finding a way to win with nothing. And you know what? I got to give the Rays a whole lot of credit. They're the classic model organization when it comes to drafting and developing players. To have that many winning seasons with a payroll that, to me, pales in comparison. And we're going to do a future show on payroll anyways, but not tonight because I was more interested in the World Baseball Classic. So I'll probably bring that on hopefully next week if I can do that. But I definitely believe the Rays are just geniuses. They're making a lot out of nothing in a feudal arena is what they're doing. And hey, more power to the Rays. I mean, they're working magic is what they are. They really are. So that concludes this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. So what we're going to do is go around the horn, let everybody know how they get a hold of themselves. All right, Rick, you lead it off, buddy.
Well, you can find me on my website, www.charlottebats.com. Please go on there, sign our petition. We want to bring Major League Baseball to Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm also on Facebook at Charlotte MLB, Charlotte Bats Baseball. I'm on Instagram at Charlotte Bats. I'm on Twitter, Charlotte Bats Baseball, and also on LinkedIn under Rick Curdy. And if you have any comments or questions, please email me at cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com.
Very good. All right, Jordan, we'll lay Icorn for last for obvious reason.
So you can find me at Sports Scoop 1 on Twitter. I have a blog that I write Mondays through Thursdays with podcasts on Fridays. Of course, you can find me here on 108 Stitches on Tuesdays. I'm going to be on the Pundits Pundit on the Sideline Sports Network, and that will be Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, you can find me on any of the Sideline Sports shows that they need me.
And we'll also be bringing you on some other South Florida Tribune sports as time goes on, depending on your availability on Thursday night. You're a great asset to the broadcast team, and we certainly enjoy your insightful, educated opinions. All right, go ahead, George.
Ernie Harwell, Ray Lane, Paul Carey, Ty Tyson, a lot of great announcers in Detroit sports, especially in baseball. And of course, Scott Morganroth, you're in this book as well, Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. It's available. There's a link on the homepage of the South Florida Tribune under the Motor City Tribune. I contribute there. I also write for a paper in Detroit called The Monitor. And you can read me at gicorn@yahoo.com and also Twitter, SandGSports99. And I'm on the show with Scott and South Florida Tribune on Monday nights, Fire Up Michigan, as well as this show and the Sports Exchange on Thursday. So good to be part of this network. You guys are doing a great job. Candy and everybody behind the scenes, too, is doing great. So thanks for having me part of it.
Yeah, George is also appearing on Fire. We got him all over the map. We have Curdy all over the map. And we're going to get Long to make, hopefully, multiple appearances. Good old Jordan. I love having you on the show. You're a nice, even-keeled guy who just gets it right on the information. If you're watching the show here, okay, you can see that on Twitter. You can follow me at Tribune South. So for Twitter people, if you want to follow me, look it over. Hopefully you're seeing this show on Twitter at the moment. So I should point out that, yes, kudos to Candy Ebling. Okay, does an unbelievable job with the website. She's amazing. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com. This show can be heard inside the pigskin too, as well as 108 Stitches Baseball Talk can be heard on iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, if you want to go ahead and subscribe to us, feel free to hit the red subscribe button on South Florida Tribune. Hit the red button. It's an easy way to do it. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Want to be a guest? Send topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise, call 954-304-4941. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube as well. And again, mention the email address, the website, we have it all there. And I just think it's great when you can get out to a lot of different things. We have a lot of great shows in the pipeline, not only here on the streaming version, but also remotely as well. So, when you subscribe to our website, not only being able to see the streams, but we work very, very, very diligently to make sure some of our shows, you can get the feel for them. We've done the Daytona 500, the Rolex 24. We've worked with Miami Hurricanes, as well as many, many others as well. So please subscribe. And also, I want to point out, I want to thank everybody in this chat room. Okay. Tonight, you guys are absolutely exceptional. We look forward to seeing y'all back again. So please share it, like it to your friends and family. And again, there's an open opportunity for everybody to come on. And we would love nothing better than to keep a seat warm for you with my incredible crew. And I'm only building the crew as we go along. So meanwhile, we want to thank you for joining us on this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. On behalf of Rick Curdy, George Eichhorn, and Jordan Long, my name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. And we will catch you next Tuesday night. Take care, everybody. God bless and be safe out there. We really care about you as an audience. And more importantly, we enjoy doing this so that we can go out there and give you quality entertainment and information. Good night, everybody. See you next Tuesday.